inside or outside?
I'm inside. I'm at home.
Ah, okay, because I had like ocean, but I think it's not possible.
No, I wish.
You're
No, that
inside.
must be the fan.
Ah, okay. I
Yeah,
was a
that's
little bit
probably
just
it.
confused. So, thank you very much for accepting the interview.
No problem. Happy to help.
So, just tell me, because I read, did you have like a prolongation of the curfew, or how is the situation just now?
So our second lockdown was supposed to have ended yesterday, but it's been extended for 2 weeks. So now we're in lockdown for another 2 weeks, and I feel it's a good decision because cases in India have not reduced, which is booming right now, and it's very scary. So yeah, there are some relaxations in some areas, but where I stay in Mumbai, it's a red zone completely. So not much where I am. I mean, we're all on complete lockdown.
And what can you do and what can't you do? Because in Spain we had a very strict lockdown. Now they are like you can do some things, and so what can you do and what can't you do?
So, essential services are permitted right now. So, if one wants to, say, pick up groceries or go to the pharmacy or go to the hospital, if we want to get our daily rations, that's permitted. If, but I mean, companies, organizations were all closed. I mean, not closed. It was like complete work from home. But there's been a relaxation on that front, and 33% of employee workforce can operate from offices now. So that's one change that has happened in this phase of lockdown. Apart from that, I think something that everyone's been very excited about, liquor shops have opened up. And
I read it about it. I was a little bit confused. How is it possible?
I know, and the funniest part is, or rather the scariest part is that people have thronged to liquor stores. So now there are crowds over there, and this is the first thing that we wanted to avoid, right? Like that's what social distancing means. So when I see pictures of that, I'm just like, this is not good. This is not going to get better like this.
Because I
So
was
yeah.
checking the last news, and one of these last news was the liquor shops, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's not, I wouldn't say that's one of the best decisions, but I mean, what are you going to do? But I think something decent that has come out is I think migrant workers who are stranded, they've been allowed to kind of go back to their homes. And the government is picking up the cost of their return, which is, I think, a very welcome relief to people who are daily wage earners. So for them, this has actually come as a ray of hope, although it is still scary because, again, it's going to be crowds of people in one place. So,
I would like to know how is it, because I think it's one of the biggest lockdowns, because you are like 1.3 billion people and it's really really crowded. India, it's a very
yes.
crowded, and you have a lot of poorness. It's very chaotic in other countries as well, but I
Right.
can't imagine how is it.
Wow, I have literally never seen my city so quiet. It's 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 180 degrees. It's like a complete shift. And Mumbai is one of the most crowded cities like in the entire country. So to see everything come to a standstill like this, it's a first. It's literally a first, and no one's used to this. Um, I don't know. So the thing is, I'm still one of the privileged few, right? I have a roof over my head. I'm living with people. I'm not all alone. I have access to daily needs. So it's not affected me to the extent that I feel the pinch in such a way that, my life will stop. I'm still able to survive. But when I see what others are going through right now, it's quite awful. There are people who are living alone and they have no one to turn to. And for over a month, it's just impossible to function that way. And again, when it comes to daily wage earners, like, I mean, we have house helps, right, who come and help us out at home, and they help with the cleaning or the washing and stuff like that. So like our house help has been calling us and she's been saying stuff like, I can't do this, it's so difficult, because the way they live, there are maybe 8 people who live in a one room house.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to,
So
because I read that a lot of people live like three people in
yeah.
one room house, and I don't know, because do they have mask or something to take care or make isolation? How does it work?
So only one person in every household is allowed to step outside. and it is recommended that whenever that person comes back, everything that is brought back with them, like when I go grocery shopping and I come back, everything is sanitized, it's washed with soap and water, sanitized completely, and then I'm just bundled into the shower. So these are basic rules that a lot of people say they're doing as well. Even like people are living like multiple people under the same roof. So these are measures that they're doing. Plus, the government has also asked us to not step out without a mask. It's mandatory. So masks are everywhere. Like everyone is wearing a mask, which is good. At least I feel like 95% of the population is being sensible about this and responsible about it. So yeah, that is going without fail. In fact, in the first few days of lockdown, stores had run out of sanitizer. So and yeah. So
This is
I'm
what I wanted
glad
to
that
ask you
yeah.
because I hear it was a big discussion, and they say it's much better with mask, but they didn't do it mandatory. And I think because also not everybody had a mask. So if it's mandatory, I suppose that people make their own mask, or how do they go out?
So the medical mask, the N95 masks and the surgery masks, we've been asked not to buy because the health task force needs that far more than we do. They are in
Mm.
direct contact with COVID patients. So we've been asked to make our own masks of at least three to four layers. So it's like we're taking handkerchiefs and folding them up into like these really thick layers and then wearing them, or just tying scarves like multiple times around our faces, or just trying to make our make the barrier just really thick, because an N95 mask can still offer that level of protection, whereas a single layer of cloth won't. So we've just started layering up more and more and more. That's how we've been doing it.
Pretty, and one question also is, I suppose there are a lot of people who can't uh, not work. I'm not sure because you have quite a lot of poor population. How do they do it? Is there some measurement that helps, or because if not, you will have more victims of famine, of people live,
Yes.
who die from
Yeah.
hunger than from COVID, or not?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is actually a very, very scary thought, which is why in the first few days itself of even before lockdown was announced, we'd asked people to stop coming, like, the cleaners or the drivers. But I feel like those were still directly employed with us. At least in my case, we're taking care of their monthly wages. Like, we're not denying them that at all, because this is nobody's fault and they should not be denied a livelihood. The ones who are below poverty line is very, very difficult. The government had announced some measures where they were going to deposit a certain amount of money in their accounts from their rural development schemes and their schemes to kind of help the underprivileged. The only question that came up was that to kind of access that money, these people would need to go to a bank and withdraw, and again there is human contact happening over there. So like, while this has, I'm sure, helped some people, I'm sure there are still some who are finding it really difficult right now, and it's it's really hard to see that. And because I'm not even out there, I have no idea how they're dealing with it. You don't hear about these people who are really suffering. But I do know that municipal authorities are kind of targeting these places and making sure that there is availability of basic needs like food, water. At least this is available. So I'm hoping that is the case with everyone, but there's really no way to know.
Yeah, I was reading. Can I ask you a favor because it's like tumbling a little bit the display? I'm not sure if you're going against the mobile phone or something. Is it possible? No, no, don't worry.
Um,
Because it's like, don't worry. If not, don't worry. Don't worry.
is it steady now?
Yeah. It was not
Okay.
steady before because of it.
Okay.
So, the economic. How was the economic? Because I think India was recovering a little bit with the economics, and now it will be very difficult, no economic impact. Or how do you see it?
Yeah, so the economy has nosedived completely. Like markets have crashed and we've hit lows that haven't been seen in a very long time. I mean, I felt the pinch myself because I have investments and to suddenly see their value just completely nosedive was really difficult. But I feel like it's going to take a while to recover, like at least maybe a year or so to at least come back to what it was before COVID, because every industry has stopped, right? Like there's no manufacturing happening, factories are shut down, small businesses especially are suffering. I personally know people who had to really take some tough calls with their businesses. So overall, it's really not looking good. People have lost jobs, there have been pay cuts, employment is not looking great. Yeah, no,
Mm.
it's not pretty right now, and it's going to take at least a year, in my opinion, to just kind of turn around.
And how is the health system just now? Because I suppose you don't have a public one for everybody, or it's you. Because I was reading as well with the yeah, that you have a doctor for the people who can afford, they have a doctor, yeah. But the other one I read that how is the health system? Is it,
So, in particular, when dealing with coronavirus, there were like a few hospitals that were initially assigned as testing centers, but and these were government hospitals, so treatment was guaranteed for all at reasonable rates. Um, Now it has expanded to the private companies as well, but obviously that is not, you know, cheap. Private companies, but there's been a cap, or like an upper limit on the testing costs. So that has been taken care of to a certain extent, especially when it comes to corona.
mm-hmm.
So at least like in terms of accessibility, the government hospitals do offer better rates, I suppose you could say, and private ones have expanded, so it is accessible right now. And the government has also asked insurance companies to include Corona under their umbrella of services, because when whatever health insurance plans were taken out, like 2 3 years back, didn't account for this. But that has been a mandate that's been issued. So in one way, it actually does look like this is something that can be dealt with.
Because here, for example, they do also um, I was thinking because now, for example, I'm in Spain and Germany as well, and it changed totally, and they were really struggling in
Yeah.
the hospitals. So I'm really thinking because I suppose you don't have. It's a lot of deaths. What I read, 1,000,
Yeah.
400, but compared, for example, to Spain, it's not so much. But maybe because there is no so many testing, or what do you think that you have much more in reality?
Well, there's really no way to know. I do think we should be testing more. So I think one of the mistakes that were made earlier when we were just start when Corona had just kind of started in India was that only those who had history of travel or history of contact with travel were tested. So and the thing is, there's no way to know who you've interacted with. So like if I haven't traveled or I haven't interacted with someone who's traveled, but I've interacted with someone who has interacted with someone who's traveled, I'm still at risk. And if I'm showing symptoms but I haven't done those first two, then I won't be tested, and that's
Mm.
ridiculous, right? So I feel like that should have been done at an earlier point. I did feel like we were not testing enough. I feel like now it has picked up, but we're already at a place where it's kind of mandatory now. It's necessary. Like anyone and everyone who shows symptoms should be tested. But I just feel like that should have been done much earlier. Like I don't know, maybe like a month earlier or so.
Do you have some, because I was reading also that you had some problems with the people who is migrating to the cities and then going back. What was this? Are there a lot of people working in the city and then uh, they go every day they go back, or how is it normally?
So, so what happens is we're a massive country and we have very few metropolitan hubs like Delhi, Chennai, Calcutta, Hyderabad, Bombay, Bangalore. These are the main hubs where people leave their villages and come for in search of better prospects. So, uh, a lot of people also can't afford to stay directly in the city center. So, what people do is, they kind of stay in the outskirts, and sometimes for affordability's sake it's like way outskirts. It could take someone 3 hours one way to come in to the city to their workplace, just like one way. So these people who commute on a daily basis, for them it's like traveling between districts, so that becomes a problem.
Oh.
Also, again, these are daily wage laborers, right? Like a lot of them are who move from villages or remote parts of the country and they come to the cities. So when they want to go back home and there's a lockdown enforced, they aren't earning over here, they're living by themselves or in like a very different setup compared to home, and they want to go back, they can't. So these kind of problems did crop up, which are being resolved now, but obviously travel had to be completely stopped. So when that happened, these guys were the ones to suffer.
And what did with the people happen who doesn't have a home, or I suppose you have quite a lot of people who live on the street and so on, or not?
Yeah,
What?
so it's honestly quite easy to just set up a tarpaulin sheet. It happens a lot in India. I mean, we've seen it. That's how slums start, right? So, I mean, a lot of these people have moved off the roads, and I don't know honestly where they're staying right now. But I do know that there are these areas, pockets within the city where a lot of them are. One such slum, I mean, I'm sure you've heard of Dharavi. It's the largest slum in,
Mm,
yeah. So
mm,
there were some cases detected over there. So then they had to lock the entire slum down because there are so many people over there, and that population would have only increased after the lockdown was enforced because everyone would have gone back home. So
mm,
there are these pockets, and they are monitored. So that's a good thing.
yeah. Okay. And do you work as a what? A traveling? What do you do?
Yeah,
Travel?
I'm a travel blogger and a
Uh-huh.
content creator. So I make travel videos and I have a blog. I also do freelance writing for clients around the world.
And what will happen now for with you? You
I
will not
don't
be able
know.
to traveling, no?
Yeah, it breaks my heart because that's my livelihood, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm without a job anymore. Wow, I mean, I've just been thinking about this so much, especially over the last few weeks. It's uh, it's going to take a while for the travel industry to pick up because no one's going to be traveling anywhere anytime soon, and it would be irresponsible of me to even promote that. So I don't see myself traveling before like July, August, maybe, and even
This is
if then
very
it would be local.
optimistic.
I'm talking about local, like within my surroundings. I'm not talking about catching a flight. That's probably going to be next year. I don't know. Yeah, so there's no visibility because, I mean, 3 months back, no one would have thought that this is how the world would be looking today. So there's no way to predict what the world is going to look like 3 months from now. And I'm just going to have to leave it to the universe to kind of help me out here because not a lot I
Eh,
can do.
yeah, so I was thinking. And what do you see? Is there something positive you see from this situation? Do you see something positive?
Uh, I mean, the earth is definitely healing without all of our constant drilling into it and causing the kind of emissions and damage that humans in our basic existence do. So that is definitely happening. I mean, very, very optimistically speaking, in an idealistic world, I would hope that this has kind of taught people something, like the old system didn't work. And that kind of needs to stop. I mean, who would have thought that a virus could come and wipe out so much of the world, just reset all of our lives? So maybe there's something to take away from this, that maybe we need to slow down, step back, reevaluate our life choices, and act on that accordingly. Of course, I don't think this is going to happen because at the end of the day, capitalism is definitely going to rear its ugly head. But one can hope that at least in thousand, if one person is trying to make a change, then for the overall good of this world, it might just make a difference. Yeah,
Mm. I think you see there. This was another thing. I saw the photos from before and after, no? Because I think you have a lot of pollution as well in the
yeah,
everywhere, no? And now it's not gone, but it's going better or
it's
what?
getting better. Yeah.
Mm,
Well, I just
yeah.
hope that there's something everyone takes away from this, and not just one or two of us. That's all. I know.
Okay, so no, it's very difficult. And how do you see the future? What do you think will happen now? How long will this curfew last, or what do you think?
um, I feel like there might be slight relaxations starting 2 weeks from now because at the end of the day, we don't want the economy to completely crash. And there might be some kind of efforts taken to at least bring back some industries like I don't know FMCG, manufacturing. These might be the ones to come up because at the end of the day, they cater to daily needs and you know they also provide some level of job stability or so. But I don't. Uh, I think it's gonna take at least till like August, September for everything to return to the usual pace of functioning. And that's again being optimistic. People might not travel for so much. That's not going to happen till next year. I think everyone's going to be really wary of that. But yeah, it's
Mm,
gonna be like a slow recovery.
mm. I appreciate that. Then thank you very much.
No
Good
problem.
health,
I hope
yeah.
I was
Stay
helpful.
healthy. And when you
You
can
too.
travel, you come to Spain, yeah?
Yes, I'm dying to come to Spain. I absolutely will.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.